On this episode of WarDocs, Dr. Oleksandr Sokolov, a Ukrainian vascular surgeon, shares his experiences providing surgical care in a combat zone. He highlights the innovations in vascular surgery, including the use of acellular tissue-engineered vessels in trauma management. He describes his recently published experience with this technology while conducting vascular surgery on patients with combat injuries. He reflects on the lessons learned from the front lines and the future of vascular surgery in Ukraine, emphasizing the importance of humanitarian efforts and the legacy of saving lives amidst conflict. For further information about Dr. Sokolov and our previous guests, visit our website at wardocspodcast.com. Be sure to follow WarDocs on your preferred podcast platform and subscribe to our WarDocs YouTube channel. I'm your host, Dr. Doug Soderdahl, retired Army urologist.
Welcome to WarDocs, the military medicine podcast. This show brings you a first-hand, behind-the-scenes look into the mission, unique opportunities, and deployed experiences of the entire military healthcare team. From state-of-the-art hospitals in the United States to the most austere environments across the globe, WarDocs has you covered.
Today, we're privileged to welcome Ukrainian vascular surgeon Oleksandr Sokolov to WarDocs. Dr. Sokolov, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Doc. I'm glad to meet you. And greetings to all your listeners.
Can you tell us just a little bit about how you decided to become a vascular surgeon and how you wound up where you are now, providing surgical care within a combat zone in Ukraine?
That was just a life. I just was a regular student in medicine and started to take part in the surgical activities, and also found that the vascular surgery is one of the most interesting for me. And then by the years, this way went into the vascular surgery, and now I'm in for 20 years also. And, we didn't want and we didn't wait for the war. It just came, so we didn't leave our workplaces, and we are still working right there. And our work changed, but we are still there, and our life is going through all the disturbances and all the troubles, but we are still trying to become better in these difficult times.
So does the Ukraine military have a dedicated medical department, or how do you interact with the military, civilian, and humanitarian efforts that are all kind of providing care to the battlefield wounded?
In the February, when the rocket fall, I saw it from my window. It was horrible. I want to say it's not the animal fear, but we understand that the darkness became more dark, and it became harder. And we understood that America knows, Europe knows. Simple people as we are, as doctors, as nurses in Ukraine, we just understood that we have only one way to work, and that's all. And we saw that a lot of militaries started to go to the medical system, but military medical system was slightly collapsed. And we got a lot of guys who came to us with different types of wounds. Different. If on the start of the war, we got bleedings on the second step of evacuation, wounded guys came right from the front line, because Russia started to force their movement directly to Kiev, to Dnipro. But I saw that it was very difficult for our soldiers, for all our guys who went through it. And we understand that when it started, I had my own surgical instrument kit. I had my operational theater that I equipped at all, with table, with lamp at all. But I understand that I can work with a very separate part of the guys, but the floor was very full, and we usually asked our guys, is it necessary to help them in other hospitals? Someone said yes, come to us. Someone said no, we are okay, we can move with it, no problem. But the most horrible thing was not only the militaries. The war about the young men and militaries, it's classical way. But this way is a classic Soviet terror war. We started to get missile launches and explosives in the civilian buildings in my city. When the rocket falls to the schools, to the hospitals, we said, "What is there anyone who is military there?" No, civilians. We got the military battlefield trauma in civilians, in the children, in the pregnant women, in the young students at all, and old men also. So, and when you have insufficiency of everything, you're trying to understand what to do. You are in heroic society when everyone says that it's nice to be a hero will they will save us, and you clearly understand that if there is no system, there will not be the hero that will save you. There is no Batman or Superman. I'm the one with the vascular surgeons in Ukraine who is working in the National Vascular Society, the Professional Society of Vascular Surgeons in the Ukraine, and in 2025, with the major part of the voices, I was elected to the European Society for Vascular Surgery as a consular of Ukraine, and we're trying to connect our young, especially young vascular surgeons, to keep in touch with World Vascular Surgery. And in this time, we have a horrible traffic of wounded in hospital, insufficiency of resources, and a lot of our friends from from abroad, from United States also, started to contact with us. Is it okay? Can we help? And at this time, we understood that all our life we had a lot of friends and connections in all over the world show that we are normal people with normal goals, with normal ways, but and we had a lot of friends, and they started to help us. Supplies start to went to hospitals regularly, and we our deficit from of bandages, of antibiotics, of painkillers, it became less. A lot of nice instrument. I know that it was not the best, not the very modern instrument, but it was enough for us to make a surgery in battlefield trauma. I had a opportunity to get some pieces of biotechnological materials for free, and humanitarian effort. If you want to participate, we know that you are working clear. You have one of the best clinical practices in the country, and we want to invite you to the team of surgeons who can apply it. And when the proposition with such type of conduit appears, it was off-the-shelf vascular bypass. I said, "Wow, let's try. Let's try."
And so these were the humusite acellular tissue engineered vessels that they wanted you to try instead of, when they didn't have another saphenous vein, it had so much injury, you couldn't find any other vein. The PTFE, the Gore-Tex wasn't working great. And so you started using this, acellular tissue engineered vessels. And actually in the midst of, performing all of the surgery in a war zone, you published a paper on your experience with using these things. And I know it's going to come out soon. The title is called Evaluating the Safety and Efficacy of a Humacyte Acellular Tissue Engineered Vessel in a Real World Combat Setting. And you kind of described a little bit some of the challenges, obviously. How did you even think about, I'm going to do a study in the middle of, a war zone? And how do you overcome some of the logisticals, the consent, ethical hurdles that you faced?
As I've said before, the modern war zone is not the hot edge of the conflict. Ukrainian war is everywhere. When we're talking now with you, the rocket can fall right there. Civilian can be damaged, and I understand that maybe it's not good, but the politics of the country that kills civilians for terror, it's not okay for humanity. It's not okay. In this case, yes, it was difficult for the first time, but when I had patients, the most significant factor for me was the abstracts that were published about the kidney failure patients before transplantation and the usage of humacytes bypass as arteriovenous fistula for dialysis show that there is no infection, no anything that this bypass gives some type of complications that should be moved out. And I've saw that if on this critical group of patients it works, it can even work like the vein because it's fibrotic structure. It has not any cells, so it should be immune inactive. So let's try. We haven't another chance. And when next guy came without veins, we talked with him and we signed informed consent. He said, "Okay, guys, work." We implanted the first vascular prosthesis from Humacyte. And on the next day, it was okay. It was okay like a venous auto-venous reconstruction, but without vein. And our surgery was less on the half time.
Right.
So we saved his arm. He was a young guy. His arm with him, right arm. Then was legs, legs, arms. For every next operation was easier. This process, it is specific. It's not the vein, and it's not the PTFE. It's not the Crohn prosthesis. It is other, but when you are switching it on, when you putting out tourniquets from the artery and see how it start to pulsate, it was horrible on the first time. I didn't sleep those nights because, it's first time in my life when I'm implanting something by bioengineering, but it was okay. And we had 100% of outcomplicated patients.
Tell me a little bit about the actual product. I mean, what is it like? How does it compare to saphenous vein? How does it compare to PTFE? Is it just one size? And how does it suture? What was it like using it for the first time?
When the vein is basic for vascular surgeon. The first procedure that the vascular surgeon starts to learn in all the countries is the vein harvesting. It's procedure to get the saphenous or ulnar vein from or cubital vein from the arm to make a bypass for carotid bypass from pop or something else. And vein, saphenous vein, we understand what does it. It's like a basic. And the surgeons will understand me. This biotechnology product is more soft. It's more gentle than vein. And you are working with it like it's from the thin, thin paper. And you are trying to be very delicate to work, to don't break it, to don't cut it with a needle, with a suture. Uh, But on the third and fourth operation, we have already worked with it. We can't take it with forceps at all. We should be very delicate. And after the fourth operation, it was okay. Everyone come with one suture, seconds, one anastomosis, second anastomosis, very fast operations. It's really cool when the trained surgeons got it. We are saving the time of limb ischemia. We are really increasing the chances for limb salvation and for life threatening.
Does it come in different sizes, and does it need to be refrigerated? How is it packaged, and how is it stored?
It is stored in the refrigerators for sure. It goes out of the shelf, and they should be kept in the cold place as a producer instructs for everyone who get it. We worked only with one size, but I see that the Humacide showed another diameter for another types of surgeries. It can be less diameter, but we worked only with diameter. We got a very small part of them.
So you had a fairly small study, but significant study. I think you had 17, 19 patients and reported an 87.1% patency rate, 100% infection-free rate, 100% limb salvage rate. Why are these outcomes particularly significant for military medicine? And how do they compare to what you had to use before, the vein and the PTFE and Gore-Tex?
If to talk about the uh, decisions of implantations of these vessels, if you have a long ischemia time, or you have a battlefield zone with a massive incoming, when you have a very little period of time to work with one patient before evacuation, for sure you can put a temporary bypass. But if you have time for one patient and you can save him already on the war zone, our vascular surgeons started to reconstruct guys already in the stabilized points. On the 2022 part of the reconstructed patients who went from the front line, it really significantly grows at 2022. So in this case, they got the veins, and the such type of implants could save time of surgery. Time of surgery, it's not the gold, it's not the platinum, it's brilliant. And at this time, we got the opportunity to see the really fantastic device from Bradbury's book in my life, and I was very happy to participate in it. And they showed the clinical results like the vein, but with the features of the artificial off-the-shelf device. When you're just taking it and implant it, no vein
Right.
harvesting, minus 1 hour of operation. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think one of the things when I was deployed in Iraq, we had a different situation completely where our evacuation, CASEVAC and medevac was pretty quick, and so we wound up putting a lot of vascular shunts in patients and then just getting them to the next level of care, maybe in Germany or even further. But you don't really have that opportunity. So what I'm hearing you're saying is that this provides an excellent, another opportunity or another option, and you get to skip the hour of harvesting vein, and maybe you get to decrease the amount of infection from using another PTFE or a Dacron. Um, Was there anything surprising that you found using this, kind of new technology in the combat zone? Because, they studied it, like you said, with transplant and the kidney artery replacements, but never really for trauma. What did you find that you felt, wow, this is kind of cool, or this was unexpected?
I had a nice friends who were working in the British Medevacs and United States, training teams, coaches, schools, certificates, salary, even salary, and in this case, they have budgets, have funds, and they have life. And when you are a physician in Ukraine, your life become medicine, and medicine become your life. And when we are talking about the Medivac, seriously, Medivac was developed and reinvented with volunteers. It's very painful to talk about it. It's We understand that but that guys who was wounded, they are moved to hospitals with volunteers from the front line. It's horrible. And I don't wish anyone in Europe and all over the world to see this horrible thing. Then you see that there is a really great state, and medical evacuation started with volunteers. Yes, then it changes. Uh, Militaries started to make their own medevacs. Then the government gave the medevacs, and there is no hot problem. It's not a hot problem right now, just on these drones and enemy attacks. But on the first time of the war, one of the most significant problems of evacuation was the drone over the battlefield. When the physicians or medevac car came to evacuate the wounded, that was the primary goal, to attack. Ukrainians lost a lot of emergency cars that were attacked with drones, with snipers, with grenades and mines. A lot of medics dead on the front line, but no one talks about it now. When this war will finish, truth will be known. It's a lot of victims, much more.
So tell me a little bit about a typical case. I know there's no typical, trauma case, but in this series of, patients that you had, give me an example of what was the injury and how you used this engineered vessel to reconstruct the arterial system.
Uh, One of the most significant cases that was presented already with the homicide speakers and on my keynotes in the Finland, in Krakow, and in Belfast, also in Ireland last year. We had a guy who was in the front line, and his hip was practically out, near 200 of shrapnel pieces only in the femoral muscles and bones. There was out of skin on the all lateral part of gluteal, femoral, and shank areas. We thought it was a large burn and large explosive trauma. Our team saw it, and my nurse said, she's very experienced. She said he will survive. I said, no, okay, let's try. We have 1 hour to work. Why not? We have one very nice device. Maybe if he will survive, he will have his legs. Okay, we started and reconstructed. After 3 months, after 4 months, 100 days after it, already in the Kiev's hospital. He was evacuated right there. I've got the video when he started to walk, and after it, he came to me to Dnipro, and he went with his wounded legs, with neuropathy for sure, with orthosis, and it was hard for him, but he walked on the stairs. That was really cool. And I've already contacted my site and said, guys, look here, it works. And for months, we hadn't any areas of bleedings, we haven't any infection. It is in the patient. He already got the skin plastics, and now he's out from the army, and it's nice that he's with family. He is alive, and he's happy with his children and with his wife. Yes, I understand that the war isn't finished, but his war is finished, and he's survivor. He already paid his price, and it was very, very bright. Because when we did the CT scan, it's like the sky with stars, and those stars was shrapnel. It was really the significant case. It was very bright, and that was the really achieve for me as a football.
Now, did you have concerns when you first started using it? Because these are dirty wounds, open wounds, contaminated wounds often, and you had your experience of using PTFE, Dacron, and the infection rate is fairly significant. Did you worry about, hey, I'm going to use this stuff, and it's just going to get infected? And how did that work out?
It's a very hard problem, but everyone don't talk about it. I had experience with Dacron prothesis before, but my teachers in vascular surgery said that if you work in the trauma, don't use artificial bypasses, because it's very, very, very unsafe. It's very unsafe.
Right.
And I know that I didn't have experience, but I saw that the guys use them for temporary treatments, especially for aorta with infected false aneurysm, but it was last chance surgery. But when we talk about battlefield trauma, it's not always a last chance surgery in the purulent view. It's not the septic view. It's not the last chance. That's why when we are talking about the battlefield, we are talking about damage control. And in this case, we should make a wide surrounds of the fascia, and only the thing that we should do with vascular reconstructions, two things. First thing, cover the reconstruction site, cover the anastomosis, and second, don't put vacuum right there. Oh, and it will be okay. I try to observe our guys who experienced the reconstructions, and I've started to write the second thesis. It's not like in all over the world. We have, like in Soviet Union, two theses. One is for PhD. Our type is a candidate of medical sciences, and the second is a doctors and professors.
So, with your experience with these engineered vessels, what questions remain that are unanswered in your mind about how and when you could use them for future cases? What are things that we need to know for the future in order to use these better and safer?
These types of conduits can be used not only in the trauma, but I will try to talk directly about it, but also in PEDs and hemodialysis, in bypasses of the heart also. But when we are talking about the trauma, the as a longer time of ischemia we have for the time of income is more chances to use the bioengineering vessel as a reconstruction conduit. We should extend the time, and it's safe in the immune and infectious features.
So in your practice currently, let's say you had a, lower extremity trauma, vascular injury, and you have the option between harvesting saphenous vein, the other legs available, or using one of these engineered vessels that you have in stock, and you get to make the decision. What are you doing right now?
Now I will check other factors. It's easier to do it. It's when you work with only one patient in the day. When you have a free head, free arms, you can even work with everything you want. Vein is very nice, but when you have a nice vein, in the most part, the 6 millimeter vein, it's a rare thing. So when I've tried to work with it, 4 or 5 millimeters, 3 millimeters. You're making vein harvesting. You see that it's a phenol, but it's not very nice. And when you start into the preoperative ultrasound, you see that the vein is very small. You can do it. That's why it's a lot of factors. How much patients on the table, how much operations, what is the time of ischemia, what is type of injury, is it necessary to reconstruct fast or is it necessary to reconstruct not fast, what is with contaminant pathology or with anticoagulants, with antiaggregates. It's option, it's nice option. It should not cover all the vascular traumatic surgery. It's it's a really cool option, and I'm confident that it will take the uh, nice place in the trauma surgery.
Now, can you use them as a patch as well, or is it just a conduit?
We worked with the conduits. It's not a problem to use it with the patches, but at those things we hadn't time any time for experiment because traumatic surgery is a bypass, and in the situations when we had a patch surgery, it's a little part of pain. It's not a problem to take out the expensive device to make a patch from it, especially in trauma. We see inbound a lot of veins that are damaged. We took the part of this vein and made the patch. It's not the problem, but it's my view. When we see the opportunity to reconstruct the vein, and it's really fits the vein also. It's not a thing that if the patient's vein and artery can be reconstructed with this device without any uh, problems that are fixed with vein harvesting.
So in your study, you had a couple of subjects that experienced adverse events leading to ATEV abandonment. One was a thrombosis, and one was presumed shrapnel, that tiny shrapnel damage. What insights did you get from those particular cases that would maybe change how they were managed if you saw a similar case in the future?
First, it's just a conduit. It's not the miracle in the special case. It is an instrument for surgical reconstruction, and it can be thrown like any other conduit, duck row, out of the nose, also. If you are very delicate with it, if your technique is clear, everything will be okay. But if you working with some type of disturbances, something that involves wrong, better stop, rethink, replan, and reconstruct again. We got the thrombosis on the one of the first operations, and we provided the reconstruction in the one session, and it was okay. That's all. Uh, you shouldn't be very hurry. You should not be very super concentrated with eyes, because when harvesting and hard reconstruction, especially if the wounds are deep, or it's night, or it's very early morning when you're working, uh, as long your operation is the harder to work for surgeon. And in this case, short operations are has better outcomes than long. That's why, yes, it really depends to it. And if we want to make better way for treatment, that's really nice option.
So, having used it, and looking at your findings, are there any improvements or modifications to the actual design of the vessel, or how it's made, or how it's handled that might enhance its performance in combat settings for the future? How could it be improved?
Yes, for sure, it can be improved in different diameters, especially for large diameter vessels. Some specifics for vein catching, or maybe something like little forceps to fix it when you're providing the anesthesia. But it's it's personal, individual surgical improvements. It is simple, and I think that's the one of the most significant and important things. It's simple, and it is replicable as a technology.
Are there any limitations or vulnerabilities of the engineered vessel that you'd say, don't use it in this case, go with a vein, don't use this new thing?
We still continue to watch the articles for the publications about it. It's very interesting. And understanding this brand new technology, it's a long way for it, and we are just only on the start. And I believe that this one of the ways that can really save a lot of lives and a lot of limbs.
So, a lot of our listeners are, part of the United States military medical system, and maybe surgeons listening. And, it's been a while since we've had that kind of kinetic, a lot of trauma in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so, folks are kind of losing that experience. So you're right in it right now. What are some of the lessons that you've learned as a surgeon in this war that you'd say, hey, these are things that are important to really know and understand to be able to be successful, if another country is involved somewhere else, let's say America is involved somewhere else. These are some of the things that you've learned that are important to know.
As a human, is to be honest. My grandfather, he fought in the Second World War, and he didn't say any word about war until the end of his life. Now, I want to say that everyone who was touched with the war can talk about. Uh, the only thing that I will say, you should do what you should do, and everything other will happen as it should be. You should be the human, you should be the physician, you should be the man. And you should do what you want to do and to save the lives, to save everyone who can be saved. And the one thing, it's not necessary to be the hero, because the post-heroic societies wins only, only the working system. Because when you became alone, you stop to be a surgeon, then physician, then human. That's why it's better to live in peace and to work with nice medicine of the peaceful time, to work with science, to work with teaching, to work with peaceful phlebology or arterial reconstructions and the vascular surgery, to don't see the fear in the eyes of your neighbors. It's really significant. You should do what you should do.
So in your case, you had the opportunity to, collaborate with this company, Humacyte, that's, providing this humanitarian supply to see how it works. How did that go, working with a company that is outside of Ukraine? And how does it, what are some other needs from, maybe humanitarian efforts that other companies who, may say, hey, how can we support um, improving combat trauma, surgical care, intensive care, medical care? How would you rate working with those companies, and what could they do better, or how could they be utilized in the future?
We had a luck to contact with Humacide because of a very easy contact person that worked with us. They supported us on every step when we should get it from the transport, how to storage it, how to open it, how to fix all the problems, how to make any not surgical but pre-surgical procedures with it. It was really nice. And then after the operations was provided, uh, we tried to work with post-surgical investigations. We discussed about other cases. They gave a lot of time for us as surgeons. It was very, very nice. I understand that this help was not very formal and was not only the profession. It's like over the profession, it's human help from heart to heart. And I was really influenced with it and held with a uh, really great friendly attitude, not only from the company, but from the guys who are company. They done everything to save every whole life in the Ukraine that is very far from United States. That was I worked night when in the United States it's early morning or evening or night, phone, emails, messengers, without any holidays, any time of the day or night. There was on the support. Uh, we see that not a lot of companies and not a lot of people are in this mode for communications. Someone came to us, we give you the present, okay, sign, photo, buy, and we don't hear about them. But the guys from Huma, they are still with us, and we are still continue to communicate and to call each other and ask, "How are you today?" It's okay.
Yeah.
It's really the cool.
So are there any other needs, technology wise that you could use as a vascular surgeon that, someone might be developing somewhere that you would be interested in trying a new technology? Is there something out there?
Yes, sure. The medicine, especially vascular surgery, is a very fast-growing professional line for every physician who is on it. And it's a lot of technologies. Really, we see we see the thrombolysis and the vascular technologies. We see the all new uh, drugs and bandages for wounds, nanofiber technology. We are in the very interesting time. Every year we see something new. And really, we are open for opportunities to participate in any type of programs. And we had a lot of young and very experienced vascular surgeons in Ukraine today. We have a lot of sites that want to work with it. That's why, for sure, instruments, for sure, ultrasounds, because they are burning. I had already two broken due to war, a lot of work. Probes, ultrasounds, angiography, plethysmography, even thermography for diagnostics. But now we have enough of such raw materials, such enough of bandages, and it's okay. We are still standing.
Yeah. Well, we're praying for that this war comes to an end and that no more lives will be lost. kind of looking back or looking into the future, maybe, 100 years, 200 years from now, how would you like your legacy and your involvement now? How would you like that to be remembered by the folks who come after you?
I hadn't time to think about it. Because legacy is something great. My only the legacy, I think, is the significance of one and only one human life. Because because I'm the physician, and I'm fighting for one life I'm going through hell to make it. And I see the wars like this Russian invasion. I understand that the only stupid people can start it. We are going through hell to save one life. And it's significant. And that's all I want to say.
Well, we've been speaking with Dr. Oleksandr Sokolov on WarDocs podcast. Thanks again for sharing all your experiences and insights with us. And thank you for everything that you're doing to help the Ukrainian people and really advance how we take care of the combat wounded. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to WarDocs. We sure hope you enjoyed it. WarDocs is a nonprofit organization supported by donations from listeners like you. Please follow and subscribe to our show on whatever platform you consume your podcasts, and rate and review this episode, and share the show with your contacts on social media. Find out more information about our show, our guests, and how to become a member of Team WarDocs on WarDocsPodcast.com. Thank you for your support. If you like war stories and medical drama, WarDocs has you covered. Spread the word.